the truth is that if you've done any kind of learning, there are so many rules when it comes to marketing correctly that what I find is that it just stops people from fucking marketing. So we created this Cringe challenge where I was like, okay, for the next, I think the first version of it was 30 days. For the next 30 days, I challenged everyone to create 90 pieces of content in 30 days. And the challenge was to feel cringe. Because you can send an email like that, an update, and you're like, I'm going to CC everybody.
Exactly.
Like, you could do that, but the reason people don't is because it's like our brain will be filled with like, this is too much. I'm trying to be the center of attention. Yeah. But the honest truth is like, who the F cares?
Exactly. All right. Welcome back to Leadership Beyond the Title podcast. I am excited to have this conversation. This episode is going to be so fun for me because today I have my very own coach on my podcast, and I'm just super excited to have her here.
Excited.
And yeah, so what we want to do is today, I just wanted to get to know you a little bit more, Kat, your story, share with the audience how we met and how I started to learn who you were and why I've stayed with you all these years because of your story and just how you lead. And yeah, so let's get into it. Why don't you start by just sharing who you are, what you do?
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I adore you. And it is such an honor to be here. And I'm just one of your coaches because you, as a coach, are a person who gets coached. Because the honest truth is, we need help in our development. Everybody does. As long as you care about leadership, you get mentorship, coaching, education, all of it. So you're such an example of that.
Thank you.
Okay, so my name is Catalina del Carmen, Cat del Carmen on most places with a C. And I am a business coach for women of color. Specifically, I lean into content marketing. And my true kind of deep belief when it comes to marketing and personal branding, really, because it started way before I even had a business, is I really believe in the power of content and I believe in the power of marketing because it changed my life so much. And when I say that, what I really mean is that for me, when I started creating content, it was the first place where I gave myself permission to actually show up as an imperfect whole human, where I didn't feel like I had to perform or pretend I was better or be a little extra this way or extra that way. In the beginning, I did, right? And even now, right? Like I'm happy to go deeper into what that looks like, but that was really what content was for me in the very beginning. And I didn't know exactly what it was going to turn into. And I didn't know 100% that it would turn into my career. But being authentic, showing up as a whole human, I have learned over and over again that not only do people show up more powerfully when they are owning their whole selves, but we also have more career success. We make more money. We sign more clients. We like whatever. It doesn't matter if it's business or if you have a career in a certain sector. When you are when you own all the pieces of you, of who you currently are, I just believe we're all better leaders. And I know you believe that too.
Yes.
So that is a little bit about what I do. And I'm happy to talk more too.
Yeah.
But that's a little bit more about what I do and what I stand for.
Yeah. I love that. The way that I met you actually is I was following you for a long time on Instagram.
Okay. I don't even know the story.
Yeah. And I followed you for a long time. And I got to a place that even in my coaching where I just needed more support when it came to marketing, to social media. And you are the creator of the famous Cringe Challenge.
I always get very flattered when you say that. I think you are the only one. I'm just kidding. I just kidding.
Love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And even you still do it to this day. Like you'll do a pop-up Cringe Challenge. Tell me what was the spark or the motivation behind that and how it has helped you and the people that you coach as well.
Yeah. So Cringe Challenge is a challenge I created for my clients inside of one of my old mastermind program. It was like I want to say it was the first round of that mastermind. Maybe it was the second, but I noticed when it came to marketing that a lot of people, and this is still relevant today, we are so quick to have a laundry list of rules that we have to abide by to market. You should market at this time. You should only market once a day or 1.5 times a day. You should only send this amount of emails. You should only talk about things that are relevant to your ideal client, right? There's such a laundry list of rules that whether they're right or wrong doesn't even matter. But the truth is that if you've done any kind of learning, there are so many rules when it comes to marketing correctly that what I find is that it just stops people from fucking marketing. Excuse my language. Am I allowed to cuss?
No,
Okay.
yes, absolutely.
It just allows people, it makes people not want to market or just be slow to market. And I noticed this in my clients during one of the programs. And as I was thinking about it, I was like, what needs to happen here? What do they need to understand about marketing? Because in my head, I'm like, no, you just have to keep like you become a better marketer by marketing. That is how you become better. Sure. I'm not saying these rules don't matter, but what I am saying is if the rules are slowing you down, then we have a bigger problem here. We have a different problem here. So I created this challenge. I called it Cringe Challenge. And actually the first formulation of this challenge, it was like spooky, scary. The branding was like spooky and scary because I just wanted them to embrace what I called cringe at that time, which is so crazy because now it's so popular, but this was like 3 years ago. But to embrace that feeling and for them to know that like if they are feeling the cringe when they are marketing, and by the way, when I say cringe is like, for anyone who doesn't know, I need a better solid definition, but what I think of it as is cringe is the feeling that you get when you tell a quick, maybe like you tell a joke in front of a group and like no one laughs.
Yeah.
Or you got a little extra vulnerable with a friend, like a new friend, and they're like, and you're like, damn, I went too deep there. Like, I got a little, that's the feeling of cringe. It's like this vulnerability of not knowing if you did the right thing because you decided to practice being brave. And now you feel this feeling. So that is what I define as cringe. So we created this cringe challenge where I was like, okay, for the next, I think the first version of it was 30 days. For the next 30 days, I challenged everyone to create 90 pieces of content in 30 days. And the challenge was to feel cringe. So if you weren't feeling cringe, if you felt super safe to post something, that still counted. But like the goal was, no, we need you to opt into the uncomfortable, to get very brave and uncomfortable and vulnerable. And if you're feeling more of that, then that is the goal here. So that's how it started. And it just like I've used it in marketing in different ways now. And by the way, if anyone here is interested, I do have a free 3-day challenge of this where you get to do it for 3 days. You get your content prompts, you get journal prompts via email.
Yeah.
But that's available too. And in that one, I think I challenge you to do 7 posts in 3 days. So it's still a little mini challenge.
Yeah. And it's so, you can do it over and over again. Cause I always like, even when you're not doing it formally, like I am literally like, thinking, how can I step into this cringe moment right now?
Same.
So helpful. It's so helpful. And I imagine like you, of course, you've been using it and you step out and I
still use it every time. Because the thing is, you're marketing as a business owner, you're always going to have to evolve with the market, right? And change the way you market, try new things. And trying anything new is hard. It's cringy. It's brave. So it's like when you have to do that, I'm 100%. Or if I get in my head, like if I get in my head and I'm a little too, sometimes we could just get in a system where we're marketing. If we're not seeing results, we start like panicking. So I will also use it then. For me, it's more of like a mental shift now where it's, oh no, we're doing cringe challenge. So now I just get to post whatever I want. And for the sake of getting out of my head, for the sake of letting that creativity start moving, give it some space and some freedom to thrive. So that's the point of it.
Yeah. Totally, exactly my thoughts about that too.
And I will say for maybe for your audience or people who are in their career, you
Yeah.
could really use this for anything. Like you could
Yeah.
use this type of cringe challenge mentality for any challenge that you want. So if you, I don't know, who exactly would be in your audience, but if you, let's say, want to become known, right? Or you have a role that you have your eye on, or you're just like, you know what, I am doing all this badass work and nobody even cares, nobody sees. You could do a cringe challenge that's all about you sharing every single thing you do in your
Yeah.
work every single week. Like I am going to make sure my entire
That
team
is a
knows
good idea. Yeah.
this is what I'm doing. And I'm
Yep.
just going to embrace the cringe because you can send an email like that, an update, and you're like, I'm going to CC everybody.
Exactly.
Like you could do that, but the reason people don't is because it's like our brain will be filled with like, this is too much. I'm trying to be the center of
There's rules.
attention. Yeah. But the honest truth is like, who the F
Exactly.
cares? This is about feeling the cringe. So feel the cringe and then start embodying it. So, anyways, you
Yeah.
can use it across
Yeah.
anything.
Yes. I love that idea. So if anybody is listening or watching or whatever, please follow Kat and make sure to do this cringe because I think it's so important for your career and just to get out of your own head.
It is.
You talk a lot about this cringe challenge, and something that I'm hearing in that is this ability to step out of your comfort zone and give yourself permission to do what you feel, do what's coming from your gut, just do the thing and not care about with of course with guidelines or
Yeah.
constraints, but don't care about what other people are saying. And so if we take it back to like early in your career, tell me like who were the people or what were the things to start to get you into this mindset of I need to give myself permission?
Yeah. Yeah. When I think about, so I was telling you a little bit earlier. So a lot of my career, I started when I was really young, 15 years old. I was one of those, I want to start working right when I can. I feel like a lot of us are like in the coaching industry. Yeah. Want my own money, my own $200 a week. Yes. So I started in the restaurant industry. I was a hostess at 15 and worked in that until I was about 19, 20. And then I got into retail and I landed a job at Nordstrom when I want to say I must have been 19 or 20. And I ended up spending about 8 years of my career there. So I spent 20 to 28 like at Nordstrom. I did quit for 6 months and then I came back. During that time, I just grew a lot. I have 12 jobs there, worked at, I don't know how many stores. I must have worked at least different stores. I Palo Alto, all in the Bay Area. So Palo Alto, East Palo Alto, I opened a Nordstrom rack, which was really fun. And my time, there was one leadership position there where I became it was the funnest job, honestly. Looking back at my entire career, I think about the job I have now and that job as the funnest jobs I've ever had.
Yeah.
It was personal stylist manager. I was so young too, looking back.
Yeah.
It was personal stylist manager and I didn't have a department. So there wasn't merchandise that I had to organize I had been a department manager, but for this role I wasn't. And I really was just in charge of personal stylist sales and really developing a team that knew how to sell because the personal stylists inside of the Nordstrom world were like, they were supposed to be like the creme de la creme of sales. Like they could shop in any department and we really were there to provide this really robust experience to our clients, our customers. So that role was really fun because I got to grow a team from, I think it was like 3 people to, I want to say it was 15 people or something like that at the end of it. And to learn all of this at such a young age was pretty phenomenal. And in that role, I had 2 managers. I had my store manager, she was my direct manager, and then I had my regional manager. Both of them came from the beauty department, and these women were just, to me, they were the baddest women. They came in with their cute outfits, full makeup, high effing heels. And I was just like in awe of them.
Yeah.
Like, I love them. By the way, even their names were so Antoinette Scrisopi. She was the store manager, and then Shannon Blunden. Their names are even like very
Yeah.
both just really the audacity of these women and the way they led. Like, I think it was also just the culture of Nordstrom, and they came from beauty, and they actually happened to be really good friends as well. And I happened to be the person, like one of the managers that they both managed. So it was just a fun dynamic. But two things. They were big leaders in my life. And then another leader that I worked with in tech when I transitioned out. For Shannon and Antoinette, what they really taught me to have like full audacity to run the effing show. Like, these women she would come up to me and she'd be like, "Oh my God, you need powder." And she would just start fixing my makeup, which I know now by the way, they're beauty, right? So
Yeah.
it's a little different. But like, I remember she would be like, "You need to own this part. You need to dress the part. You need to feel good." They would really lift me up in terms of helping me see how I represent the company and like my team. And then also helping me just like really tap into my own badassery and like audaciousness when it comes to how I present myself. And I will say, in that role, Antoinette, who was my store manager and the person I really worked with the closest at the store, she gave me so much freedom to own sales like at that store. She's, "You have to see yourself as she would just lift me up so much so that like we used to have these morning rallies, and looking back, I'm so proud of her myself. But I started this whole thing in the morning rally. Oh my God, I'm trying to remember what it sounded like. I would get on the mic in the morning, and this was like a store full of, I don't know, probably like 40 people. And I would say this thing, say, "Can I get a hey?" And then everyone would say, "Hey." And then I'd be like, "I got your sales tip of the day." And then I would give a tip every single day I worked.
Yeah.
And just having the audacity and leadership to do that as like a 20 freaking, I don't know, 4-year-old. Oh my God. And they both were just such examples that like you do get to be yourself 100% of the time, as long as we're all here to grow the mother effing revenue. That's what matters, right? So they gave me a lot of autonomy and freedom. And then they were all just examples. But I will also say, as I transitioned into tech, I had many different roles. I didn't even mention this, but like I got to see a lot of different tech roles. I worked for multiple startups. One of them was Airbnb in the early days, which was really cool just in terms of understanding pace, because it was a very fast time in that. It was like 2000, I don't know, had to have been like 10 or something. It was maybe 8, I don't know, regardless. But I ended up having a role in Adobe Systems in the training department, and we went through an acquisition, and I had one manager there. Both of my managers there were really great, but one specific manager, her name is Wes Everson. She, hands down to this day, one of the best leaders I've ever had. And she was someone who really helped me, and not only me, helped me and the team thrive off of our strengths and really just come to terms with our weaknesses and just not focus on them too much. Like, she was very clear. She knew all of our weaknesses, and she just didn't like her attitude was like, why even pay attention to them? Let's all use our strengths to lift up this entire team and get to hit the KPIs. And she gave all of us, it was a small team, it was just 8 of us, I want to say, but she gave us all so much leadership to own our own problems that we ran into. She leaned on our strengths when it benefited the team. And I gave you one example where I've always been a marketer, right? Like I've
Yeah.
always been good at
Yeah.
sales and marketing, and she clearly
Yeah.
saw that. So when we got acquired by Adobe, because it was a startup, the training team was going through a lot of shifts and changes, and we basically needed to rebrand as a department. So we did that from the inside, right? In terms of training curriculum and different things like that. But one thing she did is she's like, Kat, you're going to be the person who you're going to go a tour of all of these offices, and you are going to go to these offices and hold huge meetings, reintroducing the training department and what our initiatives are and how we could support them and what to expect and all that. By the way, I've never even traveled at this point for work. I never had even done a presentation. I had in our we were a training department, right? So we were all like good, decent trainers. I wasn't a trainer. Like that wasn't literally my job. But this is like the perfect person for it. And that's what you're going to do. And I remember I was so scared. But now looking back, I'm like, no, she's just being a really good. She saw that I have this personality and I have this likableness, and you're going to be you're going to be the front and center. You're going to roll this out. You're going to be the person to reintroduce this. You're going to have the conversations with all the different offices and the different office leads, and that's just what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And that was big for me. I was really like an administrator, like I was a coordinator, and I was like, okay, I think my role might had changed a little bit, but it's still, she really did look at our strengths. And I remember going to our calls and talking about my weaknesses, and she'd be like, okay, so work on that. And next, let's hear. That was pretty
It sounds
fun.
like the belief, like just having somebody believe in you and be willing to take a chance is so important for your own self-belief.
Yes.
Because
so much. And I
Yeah.
think it goes across industries, right? Even in coaching,
Yeah.
it's so much of having a coach is having someone who sees the vision that you see, when really nobody around you really understands that vision. Our friends and family don't understand our businesses just as much as we do. It is powerful. It is
Yeah.
powerful when a leader believes in their people.
Yeah.
And I think especially because I think I will say this too, and which I think could be helpful for your audience. Your team sees how you also manage other people. They see who you are, not just with them. They see who you are with other people on that team. And I think with this leader, which I still tell her she's one of the best leaders I've ever worked with. She was younger than me. Can I just say she was younger? She is younger than me now, but she was at least, because I was a late bloomer. I graduated 10 years. Spent 10 years in college. Like I didn't know it at the time, but I had ADHD.
Don't feel bad.
Struggled with a lot. Okay. It's okay. I did okay.
Yes.
But at that time, I had my own insecurities, and she is just somebody who really leaned on focusing on strengths. And I saw it with other people because I knew the weaknesses, whatever qualities. We all know when you're on a team with someone, everybody knows where we all lack too. You know what I mean? And the way she approached leading other people, it was just so consistent. It was like she really did see us as a team and wanted to utilize our strengths. It was really beautiful. Like it was a great experience, and I learned a lot from it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it sounds like that is the foundation for even how you lead.
Yeah.
Like to this day, like being able to know even not just the way you lead, but the way you coach. Because as you were talking, I was thinking like even this be able to put yourself out there. I wouldn't do it as, I guess, confidently that I do it now if you didn't believe in me. So like it literally takes someone to believe in you to give you that self-belief so that you can go ahead and do it without feeling like I'm doing something wrong, or you need community.
Or I should be this way, or I should be that way. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the root of, we were chatting about this earlier, but it goes back to the root of, if you can practice owning your faults, your strengths, right? If you could just own the full human of who you are, and really lean in and trust your strengths, as boring as they may seem. Because a lot of us, our biggest strengths are very unappealing to us because they're so natural to us. My whole life, everyone's told me I have such good energy and I'm such a good people person. And I'm
Right.
like, what? That doesn't fucking pay. Like, I remember this feeling, especially when I was in college and like trying to get a career. I was like, I can't put that on a resume. So I remember for the longest time, I just didn't see it as something that was like very valuable. And it's just not true. Like, it's just not
Exactly.
true. It's just not exciting to you, but that's because it comes very natural to you.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. How do you, I'm thinking about like your story and how much you've evolved from just listening to your story from that time. And you also lead with some neurodivergence. You're
Yeah.
also a mom. And I tell the audience and let them know, like, how do you even show up in that space? Like where
Yeah.
you're literally in, according to society standards, you're
Yeah.
literally someone who is different and
Yeah.
has
Yeah.
different learning ability or the
Style
way
or
you
all of
approach
it.
things. Yeah. And so how do you do that?
Yeah. I will say, I mean, let me be clear. Last year? Yeah, it was about early last year, maybe around April. I was diagnosed with ADHD finally. I knew it in college, and I'm just so mad at the psychiatrists
Yeah.
who helped me back then, because I'm like, it is so clear, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I will say, I've always had a problem getting things done in the typical way that I knew. So here's the thing with my ADHD, and it goes along with motherhood, because motherhood could be so overwhelming, especially as a new mom, or especially if you have a new little baby, right? Because you're put in this state where you are just not at your best, right? You're not sleeping well. You're caring for another person instead of yourself. And it literally is like you at the back burner, right? So if you mix that with also trying to hit your goals, it's just hard across the board. And I will say that I've learned this the most in business, that if I wanted to hit my goals, if I wanted to get things done while I was postpartum, and just to let the listeners know, I started my business when my firstborn was approximately like 4 months old. That's when I really started my podcast. And then when he was a year and a half, is when my business started really taking off.
Mhm.
And then in my third year of business, I had my second. And that was when when I was really trying to like keep the business going, right? But I didn't have as much time, energy, all of it. So I went through a lot of experiences just in the last, my youngest now is 3, so it's been a little bit. But I will say during that time, I still had these big goals, and I had to learn how to get things done and completed while I was just either not my best or just super ADHD, because the tendencies, the symptoms, they will only grow if you're not regulating your nervous system, getting enough sleep. Like, they will only get worse. So I had to give myself like the solutions that created continuing my business, making money, doing what I said I was going to do. That came in a couple ways. And I want to grab a pen so I don't forget my thoughts, because there are a couple things that I don't want to leave out here. But number one is, from an ADHD standpoint, I had to accept that I do things differently than society. Like, I just had to accept, okay,
Yeah.
Kat, if every single webinar you have ever created has been done within 24 hours of the webinar, you could be mad at that, and you can call yourself bad at it. You can call yourself unprepared. You can call yourself whatever. But at the end of the day, if that is what has gotten you here after multiple launches and webinars, then can we just not shit on it?
Yeah.
Can we
Yeah.
just not shit on it? Because it doesn't sure, you don't want it to be like that. Great. You have that goal, and we could go for that. But there's a difference between shaming yourself for not doing things like everyone else and just accepting that this, although it's not the way you want it or that's typical for everyone else, it is what has gotten you here. So you could be mad at yourself for it, or you could just see the truth that, you know what? I don't love that I do it this way, but I'm really thankful that I've trusted myself enough to still let this work.
Yeah.
So during the hard moments, right? I remember I had a launch 3 months postpartum, and that, like, just mentally revving up for that launch was a lot. And I remember during that time, that's when I really learned these lessons, because I was just exhausted and I just didn't have room to shit on myself.
Before I keep going, I want to pause for just a moment. This episode is brought to you by my one-on-one leadership coaching for introverted women of color who are doing their best work but feel stuck when it comes to career growth, influence, and positioning. This isn't about motivation or productivity. It's about learning how to name where you want your career to go, understanding how leadership decisions actually get made, and positioning yourself for opportunities without becoming someone you are not. I work closely with a small number of clients at a time so we can focus on your relationships, your leadership identity, and the systems shaping your career trajectory. You can learn more about working with me one-on-one by checking the link in the show notes. And let's get back to the episode.
Like, I didn't have room to be harder on myself than my brain already was 3 months freaking postpartum. So during that time, I really had to practice a lot of self-compassion, and I had to just accept the version of me that I am today, literally today. And giving myself that kind of permission freed up a lot of just like compassion, because I just stopped listening and leaning into the being hard on myself. And I just started accepting that, like, my circumstances are my circumstances. I could be mad at them, or I could just deal with them and accept it and almost embrace it. So as I started doing this, I started doing a couple things. One, I started just relying on the way I did things. So if I had a webinar, and I knew that I'm only going to make the slides the day within 24 hours, right? That's just the way. Even if I tried, there's a lot of the time I tried to do early or whatever. If I told myself, if I do things this way, then let's just work with what we got and let's just count on myself to do that. So then once I like allowed that to be okay, then what happened is I was like, okay, then what do I do during the week when I do want to work on this presentation? So what I started doing is I started doing something that I call super thinking, where I made time to just think about the topic and study the topic and listen to podcasts about the topic and just think about my clients and how, depending on whatever the topic was, let me use all the time I have available that I want to contribute to this. Let me just use it to think and to process and to consider and to explore. So then I've created a whole process around a webinar or presentation where we're doing it within 24 hours. That's the way Catalina does it. Like, we don't have a problem with it anymore. It's just the way. So that's the conversation I have with me.
Yeah.
And we're going to spend 2 weeks taking lots of time thinking, molding, even whiteboarding some different thoughts and concepts. So by the time that I am creating the content, it all just flows out of me simply. And that's just one example. But and to do that, to even get there, you have to accept the way you do things now. Doesn't mean you're not going to change, but you have to accept that this is the way that has worked for me, and I'm not going to shit on it because it's gotten me here. I might not like it, but I don't have to shit on it. So we're accepting that. So as soon as I was like, that's not a problem. Who said it's a problem? Did anyone actually say it's a problem? And when I realized that, I was like, oh, shoot, this is like a whole problem I'm making up.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, if that's not a problem, then I just started like accepting it. And I was like, oh, that wonderful. Like, I'm free. I don't have to do this. I could just think about the topic and mold my ideas and all of this. And it was so much more productive for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So much more productive. And it really involved accepting what is,
Yeah.
right? Which isn't that the book of,
Yes, I know who you talk about.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll remember. Accepting what is and like the circumstance. And then secondly, giving yourself enough compassion to not make things a problem. And to
Yeah.
just accept that is this version. And we could change it. We'll get better at it in the ways we want. But right now, it might not be the time. Right now, the real growth is in just giving yourself enough compassion to do things a little bit differently than everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah. You've taught us the thought model from Brooke Castillo, where it's like, you're the only one who's creating or making it a problem.
Yeah.
So stop making it a problem and do the thing that you are good at, the way you like to do it, your abilities. Just do the thing.
Yeah.
And
100%.
again, like, it's the permission, it's the freedom, it's the like giving myself like no constraints, no rules. It's like how it is. And there's so much authenticity I hear from you in that as well. Like, just being authentic.
It goes back to the whole cringe challenge we were talking earlier.
Exactly.
Because it's just what would happen if you let go of the rules. Because it's really society, right? And the reason I even think these things is because I've been taught that the way to do things is if you're going to have a big presentation, you have it done a week ahead of time and you work on it this way and that way. And then you revise it, right? And it's, that works for a lot of typical brains. It doesn't work for mine. Like, it just doesn't work for mine. So I have to work with what I got. And when I lean into self-compassion and just accept myself the way I am right now, and I stand back from there, that's when I could really like lead. That's when I could lead myself from a place of integrity, not from a place of shame and whatever the case is.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. There's probably some listeners that are leaders who are managing teams, or they're the leader of an initiative or something like that. And one of the things that I hear a lot from them is, in the coach world, there's this phrase of meet people where they are. And there may be things that you do have a deadline. You do need something done at a certain way. But at the same time, someone may have a different learning style or a different action style. So what are some suggestions for those leaders who are like, I want to show up how people are, show up where they are, and I got this deadline that needs to be done?
Yeah, 100. You know what's so funny? I love this question. So here's what I've learned, and this is more from a leadership lens. When I had that role at Nordstrom, and I was managing all these people. I told you this before the podcast, but I was managing people who were 18 years old. And I was managing specifically a man who was like 68 in the men's suits department, who had been at Nordstrom for 15 years. So when I got this role, he was one of the 3 or 4 people I had. And I had to get his respect, because at first I was like, okay, I'm your new manager, blah, blah, blah. I am just one new manager. He's seen 20 of me. You know what I mean? He does not care what I have to say. I know the store manager got my cell phone number. Please, little girl. And there's an important lesson here. So one of the first lessons in that role for me was really earning the respect of my team, and specifically him, right? Because he had so much experience on this team. He really didn't need he didn't need to accept me. Like, he was going to get whatever he needed. Like, he was also one of the top sellers in the store. So it's like, he really did not need anything from me. I'm going to go about my business and sell my stuff, and everyone's going to keep moving. Yeah. But there were things that needed to be done. For example, the personal stylist managers, we were separate from the department. For example, someone like him who worked in men's suits, his manager was not the men's suits department manager. I was his manager. So when he wasn't following a process in that department, the manager would come to me and be like, we need so-and-so to do this. I know it's new and I know he doesn't want to do it, but it's messing with our flow. So when I remember going to him and being like, hey, we need this, blah, 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 and he would, so smug, he'd be like, and just so rude. So in my head, I was like, okay, I need to get him on my side. How can I do this? And this is when I learned a very important lesson that I've learned literally across my whole career, including coaching, is if you are going to offer some type of criticism, or if you are going to deliver any hard news or have a hard conversation, the most respectful thing that you can do is be honest. It's just the most respectful thing. It's the right thing to do, is to be honest and then deliver it in a respectful way.
Yes.
But that's the truth. Like, it is the truth.
Yeah.
So I remember with this specific situation, I came in with this attitude, and I'm like 24, he's 68. With a suit on and like bestseller.
Your grandfather.
Yeah, exactly. And I go to him and I said, can we have coffee? I'm like, let's have some coffee. So we have coffee. And I'm just real with him. Literally, my little 24-year-old self says, we get our coffee, we sit down. I say, look, I know that I am just one of many more managers after me that are going to run through this department and ask XYZ of you. I am fully aware of that. You've been here, you've earned your stripes, you have the respect, you're one of the best sellers. I know that there's very little I can do for you. But people are coming to me asking for you to change things, and that's also a truth. So, how can we work together? And I told him, I was like, if you have my back, I promise you, I'll have yours. Whatever you need. Like, I will go as long as it fits within like the rules. Anytime you need my help, anytime you need a hand, you call me. Anytime you need anything, you call me. Like, I'm happy to do your dirty work. I'm happy to do your messy work. I'm happy to clean freaking rooms behind you. Like, I don't care. Like, that I will do, please. Right. But I also am going to ask things from you, and know that I'm only going to ask you if it's really necessary. That's the only way. Full maturity, going to him like a grown ass little woman.
Yep.
I was like, I need your help if we're going to do this together.
Yeah.
And I would like it to be this way. But also accept that if he was like, no, then I would have bigger problems and it might have been a tougher challenge. And I also had to, I had to think about how that would go for the sake of me still being in my leadership.
Yeah.
So we had that conversation. When I tell you, the tide turned so quickly. It was like a snap, and we were homies. Like, from there on out, he would buy me gifts. But I was also there. What can I do for you today?
Yeah.
Like, what can I will say one leadership practice, and I've taught this in my mastermind a little bit, but one leadership practice that I learned at Nordstrom that is really threaded inside of that company that I love, and it's why I still love Nordstrom from this day, is this concept of servant leadership and really being a leader who serves your people and is there for the greater good of the goal, right? Of what we're trying to accomplish here. And so that was always very much my attitude, is like, we are all a team, and there's nothing, especially as a manager, especially as a leader, there's absolutely nothing that I won't do that's too small, that's too whatever. Like, I will clean up the fucking bathrooms if I really have to. Who cares? We're here to take care of our customers. And if there's a problem, we take care of it. So when you have that kind of like humility, it's just easier to have hard conversations and meet someone where they're at.
Yeah, exactly.
And also just fucking accept who people are and look at the areas that you can work with. And if you're telling, and this is now I'm getting a little excited, but if you tell yourself, and I tell my husband this a lot because my husband is a leader in his company, you have to tell yourself different stories about your team
Yes.
or fucking fire them.
Mhm.
But do not have a person on your team that you're telling yourself a story about who isn't actually that bad. You just don't
Yeah.
like them. It's
Yeah.
like we don't have to fucking like our team.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have to like the goal we're going at. We have to
Right.
look at that person and really see what can I work with here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like such a little badass now looking back. One thing is one time I coached someone out of a role instead of firing them. And that was probably one of like my biggest accomplishments.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know, I was younger then. I was like 23 and I had great mentors. Like just to be clear, that's why. But this one woman in my team, and I was in a department at that time, she just wasn't cutting it. She wasn't making sales. She just didn't, it was not working. And instead of just saying, oh, do you want one of these positions? I really coached her on, do you like it here? What do you like it here? What don't you like here? Like, where are your strengths? What do you want to be doing? What do you like about your job? What do you not like about your job? And I really led her to a different role in logistics. And she like thrived in logistics. Like she ended up having a whole, like she became assistant manager and like all these things. So I think so much of it has to do with the way that you as a leader are thinking about your team, thinking about your people, thinking about your colleagues, thinking about your manager, right? And it's even if these people are assholes or annoying or micromanaging or not doing what they're supposed to do, the human part of you is going to be annoyed. Sure, of course. But you as a leader need to step back and really look at the bigger picture and be like, okay, sure, I don't like this person, but that's also draining my energy. And my energy is very important. So what am I as a leader going to do about this? And I could either complain and then actually fire them, which you can do. But if you do that, then go do it. Like then go do it. If there really is a claim there, if there's a reason behind it. And if it's just that you don't like them, then change the story you're telling yourself.
Yeah.
And just tell yourself, I don't like them, but they do this really well.
Yeah.
I don't like them, or I wouldn't repeat to yourself that you don't like them, but I would say, what do I like about them? Well, I like that they're really honest, or I like that they're brutally this way, whatever. But tell yourself a different story for the sake of your energy as a leader. You don't have time to like obsess over the shitty parts of your team. You are leading. Like you need to be looking at the bigger picture.
Yeah. You're speaking my language. And actually, I do a lot of team coaching, but aside from my team coach role, I'm also the president of my youngest son's PTA.
Yeah.
And there's this individual on there who she's a super badass. She like gets shit done, but she's very harsh and very military when she does it. And she drains my energy every day.
Yeah.
But the story that I have to tell myself about her and what I teach my coach clients is that as a leader, you have to assume that everybody is walking in the room with some level of trauma.
Yeah.
Little trauma, little T trauma, big T trauma. And when you can have that grace for the person that's coming before you that is dealing with something, the better you are with being able to work with it. Being able to say, you know what, maybe something happened with their kids today, or maybe something happened in the past where they didn't like people asking a question or whatever it is. But that's how you can show up and be with people where they are. And then have the grace, let's sit, like you said, let's go have a coffee. Let's sit, let's talk. And the relationship just busts wide open.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
Yeah.
And with those, and I know we all know those type of people, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, you do have to tell yourself a different story. And then also, like, do you like that? Here, can you put these on your list? Exactly. You also, and if you cross the line and you're a little too rude, then I'll step in, whatever. But there really isn't a problem. Like,
Exactly.
do your girl. And here, you can help me out a little too.
Exactly.
Right? It's like we don't have to all like each other. Like,
Exactly.
we don't have to all like each other. We do have to respect each other. And if those lines are crossed, then of course we say something. But at the end of the day, it's can we create an environment to hit the goal? That is you have to always focus on the goal and then be the smart person as a leader who can see this big picture. And dang, this makes me want to have a bigger team.
Yes. So we're getting to the end of this episode. You shared a lot about just giving yourself permission, using your strengths, having beliefs, both from the person who's leading you, but also your own self-beliefs. And then just this no rules. The cringe challenge is something that I am going to admire forever and follow and do all the time because it has changed the way I think and approach marketing. And so before we leave, what's a bit of advice that you would give to any leader, any person who's leading a team, part of a team, or even any business owner who has a team or is leading? What piece of advice would you give them as they move forward in their careers around this no permission or giving yourself permission, no rules element that you're talking about?
Yeah. I think there's so many that I could say, but I think, and this is probably a piece of advice that I probably need to give myself right now as well, because we're always growing, right? We're always trying to push. I think the advice I'll say is be willing to do something different. Don't be afraid to try a different approach or do a different thing that has either never been done before that you learned from, I don't know, sports or this or a different whatever. But when you are leading, I think there's also so much room for us to still progress and grow, and just don't be afraid to be different, because this is something I also learned from the manager I was telling you about, who I just still admire because she was one of the best managers I've ever had. She was so unafraid to do something different, and not just different, but I remember at the time it seemed very unnecessary. This is just so much. Do we have to do this? And I think when we have these ideas, we're so easy to push them down. So my advice would be trust the ideas that come to you. Trust the ideas that come to you and do something different. Don't be afraid to do something different. That is what leaders do.
Yeah.
That is what leaders do. Even if it might fail, because it might fail.
Yeah.
But I believe everyone listening to this is a smart, capable person, smart, capable leader in their own right. Be willing to step outside of the traditional box in whatever way you take that message. Be willing to step out of that traditional box and trust your own knowing.
Yeah. So good. So good. Last question before we leave. You might repeat what you just said, but I have to ask. The title of my podcast is Leadership Beyond the Title. So if you had to tell people, what does leadership beyond the title look like for you?
Leadership beyond the title. So my title is business owner, coach. So my thought, the way I think about leadership beyond the title is, this is a little simple, but it's coming to me right now. It is being a good person. Do right by people.
Yes.
You do right by people. You be good to people. You don't be mean. You don't be jealous or whatever. You be good to people.
Yes.
That's leadership to me. You do right by people.
Yes.
And by yourself. You do right to yourself too.
Yes. I love that. I love that. So where can people find you at, Kat?
Yeah. The best place to find me would probably be my podcast, Show Up Real podcast, which I talk a lot about sales, marketing, content, but I also talk about authenticity and different things. And then also Instagram at Kat Del Carmen. And if you want to start learning about how to creating your personal brand or creating content, I would definitely get on my email list. I call it Pistola email. by the way, I only call it pistola's gun. But the only reason I called it this is because one of my clients used to say, Kat's like a pistola. She's always triggering me with the truth. So, anyways, get on the email list if you want to build up your personal brand, create content, maybe build a business. And yeah, those are the places to find
And
me.
I'll drop all the links in the show notes.
Thank you
Everyone
so
can
much.
find this really easily. So thank you
This
so
was so
much.
fun. Thank you.
I look forward to many more years working
I
with
know. I'm so excited.
you. You have become like just like my person. Not to mention, like we're both from the Bay Area.
I know. And I was born in San Francisco too. So I live I'm from San Francisco, but I moved when I was 9. So it was like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
it
you
was
still
still
got
made
the
of,
San Francisco roots.
yeah, like I saw it before tech.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for joining and thank the audience for listening to this. Go find Kat, go follow her, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.